welcome to the 941 Sports Zone. We're up to episode 40. That means that we have 12 left before we make a full year. John, no drought, Minnesota. Both of us actually are in droughts. I'm here in northern Massachusetts, just north of Boston. And we are in drought conditions, although you wouldn't know it by all the rain we've gotten this weekend up here and the chilly temperatures. And, if you're in Pasco County, a little north of where you are, John, where they play the, where the Copperhead course is, they got tons and tons of rain, but unfortunately, you guys aren't seeing it.
It's that sort of weird frontal boundary that comes along, and it sort of the tropical moisture trains off of it, and it just didn't get south enough. We had some minor thunderstorms, but they're still saying that we need a 15 to 17 inch month to recover from a drought scenario. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to rain and we're going to have plenty of rain on the ground. It's just that we're not filling the aquifers and reservoirs.
The tables.
Yeah,
the tables.
So it's that kind of thing. So we had droughts are kind of an interesting thing in Florida because you get this massive amount of rain, 50 inches of rain a year, and you're in a drought. You're like, how did that happen? But it can. And I understand it's a lot to do with, those things, but rainy season has kicked in because that humidity kicked in. The love bugs are still hanging out. So that's always a pretty good summertime.
I don't miss those at all, the damn love bugs. All right, the 941 Sports Zone brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257. And we'll start in the 941 as the FHSAA baseball and softball tournaments. I know the baseball tournament, they've actually both wrapped up now. Last Monday when we were with you, we told you that Charlotte was in a semifinal match with Winter Springs. They lost in the bottom of the seventh or final inning 5-4 to end their dream run in Class 5A, but just a tremendous job getting to the Final Four, coming through as the number one seed. And also in softball, both Parish Community and Braden River lost in their semifinals, both by identical 2-1 scores. So some very close, low-scoring games, but unfortunately, no championships in the 941. That's a rarity, John.
Yeah, it is. And looking at the tournament as they went through, you and I spoke a little bit about this, but there are some at all levels of the FHSAA, there are some powerhouse teams that really dominate, just like you see in football with a domination in regards to stuff. So to be able to crack that ceiling, get up there, get semifinals is a huge accomplishment. You never want to feel satisfied. Any coach will tell you like, I don't want to have the journey to be, hey, we're only going to get here and be happy with it. But to get to the semifinals or of any type of classification in any sport is very noteworthy. And I think that that's why they give out regional trophies. That's why they do whatever, because it really is something to be proud of. You look back at certain things over the years and you say to yourself, okay, look at our history, and regional championships are a huge deal, and they don't come with the drop of a hat. They come with a lot of really good play, good coaching, and a great teamwork involved.
Yeah, a couple of teams can actually say they lost the state champions. Obviously, Venice losing in the title game last week. Lemon Bay ended up losing to Jesuit, who just steamrolled through the tournament.
Yep.
In softball, 9-0. Oh my goodness!
And in baseball, by the way, they did win
baseball. Yeah, sorry, baseball is what I was actually talking about. Yeah, baseball. 9-0 Jesuit wins. So congratulations to all of our teams for a tremendous season. A lot of graduations going on in our area.
And it's the end of high school sports for the summer at this point or thereabouts.
Till July 24th, John.
Yeah. So, but it's like you put a wrap on the 2025, 2026 seasons. And, I think probably in we'll have to do a retrospective at some point in time, maybe grab Xavier from 7 and Channel 7 and down here and see if we can't do a little bit of perspective on what was accomplished. Because I can tell you, obviously we represent the 941 with the name of our podcast. And there has been a real I would say this: it's no fluke anymore to see the 941 represented in throughout all sports and throughout from the 941. Look at Sarasota Sailors basketball. We talked about that. Football had multiple semifinalists this past year. So we go like Venice and Charlotte go into the semifinals as you know for baseball. And so there's a lot out there right now and individual champions, which I should keep more track of, but individual champion in different sports is track and field and swimming and everything else. So really, really, really doing a great job representing. And I think it's just the times, Rich, with local sports, more and more and more. And I don't want to say there was some sort of somebody initiated this or whatever, but you see a much more pride and energy put into athletics than you did in the past.
Yep.
Maybe it's one thing that triggers it, who knows, but I see it more and more. I see it from the administration as well, because administratively, sometimes you didn't get a lot of support. They just thought that was an extracurricular activity and everybody got a little exercise and that's what they cared about. But now you see a lot more emphasis on booster clubs and facilities. And you name it, all these different things that really sort of propel kids to want to do it. We're in a generation where we have a lot of kids that sit in front of computers like we're doing right now, right?
Yeah, I have one of those.
But the thing is, though, is Rich, is that you have to pique interest.
Yes.
It's generational. Somebody's always going to play a sport, or somebody's always going to want to do something different, music or whatever it may be. But to get the backing of the community and the administration, not only does it make it fun for them, but it's actually something that they feel proud to be doing. And I think that the pride into it, being put into it on all aspects, is we're seeing it from the 941 area really starting to grow and prosper, at least into the near future.
No question. All right. And again, July 24th, we're going to keep drumming that date home.
Yeah.
Our high school football preview. I'm really looking forward to it. It's less than 2 months away now, as we speak today on Memorial Day. By the way, let's take a second on Memorial Day to thank those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I know a lot of you are going out and barbecuing and doing all that other good stuff, but the reason you can do that is because of people that did, and still are, with things going on over in the Middle East, making the ultimate sacrifice in our country.
And I think over the years too, it's sort of become for those who are still with us and that are veterans or still serving in the military, is another opportunity to tip your cap to the young men and women who are still in the military and still doing the work that is sometimes not recognized enough.
Not appreciated enough, John.
Right.
Not appreciated enough.
We're watching things in our current environment with the Iran situation, the Strait of Hormuz, and all this different thing going on there. But there are people out there on those ships doing things. We always hear like, oh, we're not going to put boots on the ground. You don't think there's boots on the ground? I mean, come on, seriously? Of course there is. And so those are the things that you recognize. And my family, I have my daughter, my brother, my niece, and my two nephews who have served, and some are still serving. And it's like I said, being around the environment, seeing the character of all the people that they are and they work with is amazing to me. So it's an opportunity again. Yes, the Memorial Day is really about those that have lost their lives, have given us, like I said, the ultimate sacrifice. But it's also an honor to turn around and say to my brother and to my daughter yesterday, thanks, thank you, and we really appreciate it. So it's a great holiday. It's appreciative that it happens, and that I do believe that most people in this country are fully backing what the military does, especially for when they see all the things that are happening around the world and they realize, okay, this is something to be noted.
Absolutely. All right, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. Locally owned, nationally backed. Hurricane season starts next week. And there's a little something going to be stirring in the Gulf. You might have a little drought buster there in Florida. It looks like in the next couple
Yeah,
of
they're
weeks. So
saying looks like this whole week. So again, fine enough. It's always a kickoff to this, to really get it going. And this is usually what it is. I've seen many a June, 1st of June, kind of 10 inches of rain, and then all of a sudden, the pattern changes, and we're back to the normal afternoon gully washers.
Yep. All right. Really somber way to start the national look at what's going on. Felix Rosenqvist won the closest ever Indy 500 by 2/100ths of a second. And Daniel Suarez won the rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. And yet both drivers are going to have to live in the shadow of Kyle Busch, who died unexpectedly on Thursday at the age of 41. Was an absolute shocking turn of events. First, the family announcing early on Thursday that he was in the hospital with a very serious illness, and literally less than 8 hours later, he was gone. The family has released a statement saying it was severe pneumonia that turned into sepsis, and apparently this had been going on for a little bit. I guess after he won his truck race on the radio, he called for a doctor, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And unfortunately, things took a turn for the worst. It's my only Indy 500. Or not Indy 500, Daytona 500 that I ever went to in 2005. I was in the Busch pits as a guest. And he was a polarizing figure. You either loved him or hated him. I mean, but everybody who commented this week said whether you loved him or hated him, you certainly respected him. He was one of the best drivers ever. He had the most wins among the three the truck races, what do they call that now? The Xfinity series, I guess. The
one
the
below?
Saturday races. Yeah,
the Saturday. Yeah, I think it is Xfinity.
And then of course the Cup races. He had
right.
like 240 plus wins amongst the three of them. He raced hard and he lived a hard life. But boy, this is a truly a gut punch to not only NASCAR but the entire racing world.
It is, and you're right. His passing has sort of overwhelmed or overshadowed, overpowered what happened with the biggest racing weekend of the year in Memorial Day with Indy 500 and then the Coca-Cola 600. But he was. I think now in it's one of those things where a 41-year-old man dies. He already had established himself, like you said, as a generational talent in NASCAR, and gladly took the role of the villain. There has to be rivalries, right? There has to be, a lot of times people pick a car because it's a Chevy or a Ford or a Toyota, whatever. You root for those guys, and it's just subsets of what you want to do. Kyle Busch was the guy who said, "No, I'm going to go out there and when I'm going to call out Dale Earnhardt Jr. or whoever it was." He had no problem. He'd run somebody off the track a little bit. He raced hard. And won. And then when he won, he had no apologies. Never had an apology for it. And you can almost see he had a little twinkle in his eye. I'm not, that like he knew what he was doing. He knew that, that wearing that black hat was probably going to get him a 70-30 fan base against him in some ways. But he took the 30 but everybody knew, man, he was a winner. He was just a winner. I don't know, Rich, because I don't want to speculate. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But there's going to be more coming out about this because I think we're going to see that he might have pushed himself beyond the limits and nobody said no to him maybe in that situation. Because sepsis, there's an infection usually with that. And he had pneumonia.
Pneumonia. He had severe pneumonia. That's an infection.
Right. And so he said, so with that, that's the reason why he went so fast. He was already sort of in that mode, and to be given whatever he was given, I need a shot. That was one of the things he said after one of the Cup races, and I think you said it as well. And after the Truck Series, and you need to see a doctor. Somebody needed to pull him out of that car and get him in a hospital 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. That just didn't come up, and so I don't know anything. I don't want to make any speculation, but this story is going to be around for a little bit, and I hope. his family and everybody are at peace with this, and that they're going to be okay. And I say family, but NASCAR is a family. We
Yes.
talk about how they travel. They travel like a carnival. They all go
Mhm.
to the next place. They see each other all the time. That's why they do fight and do not like each other, because they're around each other all the time. And so there's a lot to that. His brother raced, and he kind of wore a black hat as well after a little
Kurt.
while. Kurt
Yep.
Busch did, but again, it's a big loss. There aren't a lot of guys like Kyle Busch out there anymore. He really was an extension of the Dale Earnhardt era, in my opinion. He
Senior.
raced that way. He wasn't. He just wanted to race. He wasn't dropped in it with a helicopter, made the race, and then shipped back to wherever his compound was. He was in it, and so I think there's something to be said about that generational guy. I think he may be one of the last ones, if not the last one, who still had that you ain't racing, or you ain't rubbing if you ain't racing, or whatever you want to call it. He was that guy. So sad times. And they see his age, 41 years old, young son, 11 years old. He's already racing and stuff. A young daughter. It's just sad to see. So hopefully everybody takes a lesson from whatever happened with Kyle Busch, and he gets the kudos he gets, a tip of the cap, or tip of the black hat, we'll say, to him for what he did for NASCAR.
Yeah, his daughter just 4 years old, son 11. You mentioned Brexton, the number 8 car, which is his car. As a matter of fact, the number was changed for the race yesterday. The backup driver, I think, was in the 33 car, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, 33.
The number 8 car is going to be retired until Brexton is ready to take over. And from what all accounts that we hear, at 11, he's already climbing the ladder. Apparently, he's got the goods. Which is that crazy at 11 years old, but he's got it in his blood, and he's going to carry on Daddy's tradition once he gets to be of legal driving age, if you will.
It's great to see, man. Most kids don't have the access probably to do that like his son did. Yep. But when you see the drive and you see the sort of the DNA that goes into it, and you say maybe there'll be another one, because there are a lot of race car drivers. It's a family affair. You know what I mean? It's brothers and kids and everything else.
Wives.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I go back, to kind of skip towards Indy in this whole thing. I go back to the Unser brothers, right?
Oh yeah.
Bobby and Al Unser. They were fighting to win races for years and years and years. And then you had the Andretti family was involved with all that stuff. And so all those racing families, what you want to call them, it's something to they got to have it in their DNA. There's no doubt about it. There's not something you take lightly. You've got to be fearless. I don't care if I was going 100 miles an hour around that track, you'd have to cut my finger when I was done. To go 200 and something miles an hour and be that close to each other and bumping each other and drafting.
3 wide.
Just the move that Rosenquist, am I saying that right? Made at the end there, where the guy I was watching this morning, the guy he got ahead of was in tears, saying, "I don't know what else I can do. I was leading the Indianapolis 500. There was nothing you could do."
Right. That's the worst place to be, is in front.
You can't. He put a little fade move, or what do you want to call it? Juked him out and just got the draft off the slingshot, and he got ahead of him. And there's nothing you can do. When you're in that last lap and you're in the lead, you are. It's not a chance to win, especially in Indy. There's no chance. It's really hard to block, because that's not going to happen. Right. Where at NASCAR, maybe they would rub a little bit, maybe block a little bit more, but still. What a great race, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that. For that, I know the guy's upset, but nothing to be ashamed from that situation. To be second like that.
So we now move into the second half of the year, at least in the NASCAR, and also IndyCar. They didn't start until March when they started in St. Petersburg, so they still got quite a bit to go there. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year shakes out. Usually Daytona's, do they still do the it used to be called the Firecracker right around the 4th of
Yeah,
July.
it's still on 4th of July weekend. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's not called the Firecracker 400 anymore.
Right. I think it's the Coca-Cola. I think it's Coke
I think
Zero
it's
400, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. It's one of those. Yeah,
Mhm.
Coca-Cola's got their name on a lot of those big
Oh, yeah.
races.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. All right. So there's a look at what's going on. And again, best to the family of the Bush family and really to the whole NASCAR family, as you said. That was a great way to put it. The 941 Sports Zone brought to you by the good folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Give them a call, 941-251-4257. Again, if you've got anything going on with that roof, now's the time to get it taken care of, not after the storm, not when a storm comes in. Get it done now, 941-251-4257. Well, our Tampa Bay Rays, the little engine that could, finally lost on Sunday to the Yankees 2-0 on a pop fly home run. I didn't see what the final tally was on the tail of the tape, but I'm guessing right around 360 feet. It was like in the second row. By Aaron Judge, a fly ball to right field that just happened to go over the fence. Typical Yankee Stadium home run. Broke a long drought by Judge and broke a 4-game winning streak. I think for the Yankees psyche, they almost had to win that game. They were 5.5 back going in after the Rays on Friday night were down 1-0 going to the 8th inning. And then the Yankees' Achilles heel. It just seems like it shows up all the time, and it's not changing. If I'm a Yankees fan, the way they play baseball fundamentally, just you're not going to always get 3-run homers. And, the Rays do the things fundamentally, and they end up getting 4 runs on a chop and error, a line drive hit, a sacrifice fly. And you're the Yankees, and you're like, what the heck happened? They didn't hit the ball all that hard. The single, the Aranda single was a hard hit ball.
Yeah.
But the Rays just do what they do. So they end up splitting the series, John, because Saturday's game was rained out. Like when we woke up Saturday morning, it was already postponed because of all this wonderful weather we've had up here. So the Rays lead is still 4.5, 6 in the loss column at the first marker. You and I talked about this last week. Memorial Day is the first marker, if you will, in the baseball season, and there are the Rays comfortably in front.
No doubt. And you talked about how the Rays win. Well, I know we looking at our shot sheet earlier. There's a lot of other teams doing the same thing. This formula that's been out there for a while, some of the teams, rather than trying to be the Yankees or the Dodgers, they're trying to be the Rays. Let's just face facts. The Rays have had probably the most success kind of cobbling those teams together and payrolls in a certain amount for the team. Now, mind you, those big city teams, they have all-star teams to start off with, and they just add more all-stars when they need it at the end, which is why you don't see a lot of championships. But the longevity of the season and how the Rays can pull off these wins against the best teams in the league, it's nothing. It's there's something to it. It's not a coincidence that this is happening.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so watching them a little this weekend, here and there, when they were off on Saturday, but when you watch them, there is an energy around this baseball team. It permeates through the locker room, from the batting order, whoever's playing that day, to the pitching staff. Everyone's got this sort of it's my turn mentality. Whereas with the Yankees and some of the other teams, it's when is somebody else going to do it?
Right.
When is Aaron Judge going to do it? Or when is the next guy, whoever it may be? They're waiting for that one person. And by the way, even in the highlight reel on the 4-letter network, you don't see a lot of that scrappy play. Guess what? Late in the game, he got out of his drought. Aaron Judge hit the 2-run homer. And Shohei Ohtani, he had his third hit in a 16-3 whatever route. Who cares?
Yeah.
Is that the reason they won? Because Ohtani had his third hit in the 8th inning? It doesn't make any sense. But that's what
those
that's
are hits.
So you look at these big teams. Let's buy up the big guys. Let's get the marketing from it. Get the money from it. and we'll keep on adding those big names in there. And meanwhile, the season's going on, and where the entertainment value is watching the Rays, the A's, and the Guardians. That's where the entertainment value is, and you're watching some different baseball. So yeah, I'm surprised because I didn't expect to see this level of competence with the Rays, but it's not. It really shouldn't surprise us because it's been the norm. Maybe 10 years, Rich. Would you say maybe more? If you really
2008,
yeah,
started in 2008 with Joe Madden. It's almost 20 years now.
Right. So you're seeing it, and I said that's why I say about you got a fan base here. You have an easy sell. Get the stadium done. Get everything else done, and then have success. Not only on the field, but what everybody's been waiting for, which is the success as far as the money being made by the ownership, so they can actually buy some players late in the year or whatever it may be. The Rays, and I'll say this is probably a real reach. You and I have talked before about old baseball. We knew everybody. I was raised in New York, watching the Mets and the Yankees. I knew all the players, but I knew all the players on the Reds, the Dodgers, you name it. I'd go right down remember those guys because they were all like a team. It was a buzzsaw. Everybody could do something a little different. Not everybody was a home run hitter. Some guys were doing this. Some guys were great. Back in the day, shortstops couldn't hit.
Yes.
Same with catchers.
Mark Belanger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Catchers
Fred
that couldn't
Stanley.
hit.
Yep.
But he could call a great game, that kind of a thing.
Yep.
So now I look at that, and that's almost baseball mentality for some of these teams are now. They are a complete team. Your number 2 hitter might be hitting 270, and your number 9 hitter might be hitting 280. But they're all hitting about, nobody's busting out and being the best player in the league. But there's best players in the team, and there's worst players in the lineup, and it's not a big difference. So going through a lineup for the Rays and getting that, don't worry, 7, 8, and 9 are up. That was usually 3 easy outs back in the day. Not anymore.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Listen, and a couple things. First off, we'll stick with the Rays here, and then we'll go macro.
Yeah, sure.
Hillsborough County voted 5-2 for their portion of the funding for the new stadium. Tampa City Council voted 4-3, skin tight, but they got it through. Looks like the memorandum of understanding. We just got to get a shovel in the ground, John, because there's still a lot of rancor going back and forth. The Tampa people that voted no are upset and want to throw up roadblocks. Listen, we had a the system, the votes were taken. The Rays have never been on the right side of all those votes. They're finally on the right side of all those votes. Now let's get the ball rolling here. Let's get a shovel in the ground so that we know when we get to 2029 or 2030 that we're going to have this new ballpark in Tampa, right across from Raymond James Stadium. And listen, the county's benefiting too. HCC's campus is being redone. I mean, HCC is a big thing up there. Okay. I went to HCC back in the day for a couple of years. It's a really big thing. And they're getting a new campus as well out of all this. It's not just the ballpark.
You can't look at it from everybody has some problem with something. Okay. Believe it or not, some people hate sports. Would you know that, right? Whatever it may be. But when you can have a dual role or really give benefits to a whole myriad of people in the community, in this particular case, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Right. Unfortunately, we see a lot in this day and age because they have voices, and I think it's great. But it's the internet. It's all things that we're on a podcast right now. We're doing it over the internet. So, but people have a voice. But at some point in time, you got to look and say, I get that English teacher. I'm not trying to just using it as that isn't happy that HCC is going to share the grounds with the Rays for some, because it's all they are is just money hungry, or whatever it may be. You got to look at that person and say, look, we're gonna do something. We have to do something here, right? We want to keep the economy moving. You're going to get something out of it. You need to say thanks, but we're going to turn your volume down a little bit because we don't need to hear every last person's complaint. Okay, nothing's ever going to be what everybody wants, but when it benefits the most, the area the most, and other people get collateral benefits to it as well, it really needs to be done with. It shouldn't be that you take a side or whatever. You say, no, this is an all-in. It's disappointing to me to hear 4-3 vote or 5-2 vote. It should be a 7-0 vote because it's that good of a deal. Okay, and the only way you're ever going to know if how good a deal it is really is if you don't get it, because then you look back and say, holy crap, what did we do? Tampa became nothing. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that has happened in other cases. But I think this one, based on how it's put together, state backing on this thing as well. Governor said
correct.
He's all in on the idea as well. Some money coming from them in that situation. It needs to just get done, and then the Rays will be it'll be prosperous. And I honestly believe this, Rich. I know it sounds sort of being Pollyanna-ish about it, but I think when that gets done, I think it's going to sort of open up the floodgates. The things we just talked about, like picking up a guy in August instead of staying pat. I think it's going to happen because they know they're going to have the money coming eventually. So when you know it's coming, if I know I got a check coming in 2 weeks, maybe I'm more inclined to buy something now, knowing the check's on the way. I think that's what they'll end up doing. You might see a change. I don't want to see a wholesale change. I love the philosophy, mind you, but a change that could be a difference maker in going forward.
All right, back on the field, the Rays are now 4-1 against the Yankees. We mentioned that. 14-3 against the AL East, and 24-5 against the American League. And it's interesting because they played the entire NL Central in April and lost 2 out of 3 in every series. But as we've come to find out, the NL Central is pretty darn good. As a matter of fact, it's very interesting, John. The leaders in the National League in the divisions are the Braves, Brewers, and Dodgers. Okay, 3 pretty stable franchises. The Cubs were up there. What in the world's going on in Wrigleyville? I have no idea. They had that long winning streak, and now they lost 8 in a row before winning the second half of a doubleheader yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, in the American League, it's the Rays, Guardians, and A's. 3 of the lowest payrolls. Although the Rays, I was kind of surprised, John. The Rays payroll is just short of $100 million this year, and they're like 21st out of the 30 teams. They're usually 26 to 30, so they are spending a little more money right now.
Well, I think they had to. I feel that way. I think they kind of had to, and yeah, like I said, but again, it's still 21st. You know, as far you're not quite there. Yeah, right. Bottom third. And I think that's where they probably will live in most cases. But you talk about the other teams. The A's really don't even have a city anymore.
Yeah, they're playing in Sacramento, for crying out loud.
Right. And so it just shows you that, gosh, in any time in any scenario in baseball, if supported properly by the community, and as far as the community at whole, meaning the city council and all those different people, boy, when it all comes and fits together, it really is a massively better scenario for winning and providing a better product to the local fan.
All right, and there's your baseball look at things on episode 40 of the 941 Sports Zone. Again, brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. Get that roof taken care of before we get into the nuts and bolts of the real rainy season, 941-251-4257. There are 2 playoffs going on in the NBA, 2 series. One I've got a complete grip on, and the other one, I don't have a clue. Let's start with the West. Wemby, after he was beat up in game 2, John. I mean, he had 24 points and 17 rebounds. They made sure they were holding, clutching, grabbing, hitting him every time down the floor at OKC, to even that series. And then the bench had 75 points in game 3. And you thought OKC was starting to take control of the series, even though the Spurs scored the first 15 points of the game, becoming the first team ever to score the first 15 points of the game and lose in the playoffs. And then on Sunday night, Wemby had a monster game, 33 points. He was all over the place, affecting shots. And the Spurs even the series 103-82. It's 2-2. Best of 3, OKC has home court advantage, and yet I can truly sit here today and say I would not be surprised which way this series went. Now, if you're OKC, John, you got to be a little concerned about SGA or your MVP. 5. Even though he scored 26 points in the win on Friday night, he was only 6 out of 17 from the field. And then Sunday night, he was only 6 out of 15 from the field. And he only scored, I think, 19 points. Didn't play the fourth quarter. Maybe that's tactical, but that's got to be a little concerning for OKC.
I look at you said the two games. Interesting how they all played out. I'll start where you left off with SGA. I think his game is mid-range. It's a mid-range game, and Wemby is a mid-range killer.
Yes,
you see SGA, he'll come off a pick or a screen, and he'll come around and he wants a little elbow jumper, and there's a 7'5" guy standing there waiting on him. I think that
of about 10 feet. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
And I think that San Antonio's athletes, and I call them athletes, are superior to OKC's athletes. What I think is the difference, though, is that OKC's other guys are better basketball players than San Antonio's guys. I think athletically, San Antonio is stunning when you roll out Wemby with all those guys that are around him. I don't think they're a better basketball team than OKC. Now, can athleticism beat basketball? Sure, it can. In this day and age, that's what LeBron James did. LeBron James LeBron James is the best athlete that's ever played in the NBA. Okay,
I won't argue that at all.
Not so that there's always this Jordan LeBron thing. I get that going back through. But if you want to give best basketball player, you want to give it to Michael Jordan. But best athlete is LeBron. Yep. Size wise, 6'9". He could play the point. He could run like a gazelle. So that's the difference. And I think that's the comparison I see with those two teams. Normally, the better basketball team will win out. But you're right. SGA's got to figure out a way to be more involved with the game. Even if his line is 18, 5, and 14 on the assist side, and Lou Dort and McCain and Wallace all go out and have an 18-point game, OKC will run San Antonio out of the building. I think if they can do that kind of thing, just a matter of making that. If it's a coaching scenario, getting to adapt to it, or does SGA himself say, you know what? Because of their athleticism, I can't excel as an MVP type of guy, but I can be the guy who can dish it out and let those guys win games.
The 3-point line was very important too. Basically, OKC couldn't throw the ball in the ocean on Sunday night. They've got to hit their threes to keep Wemby honest. If not, he's just going to sit down there. And you're right. SGA is going to turn around and try to hit a 15-foot jumper, and he's got to go. You saw a couple of shots on Sunday night. They were high arcing, not the usual shots. And it wasn't just him. I mean, the only guy that was having success was Hartenstein, because he basically was just going to the rack and he was just being physical.
Right.
Everybody else was just kind of tiptoeing around. So this series has a lot of intrigue to me. The OKC only scoring 82 points. First time they scored under 100 since before Valentine's Day. I think it was February 12th. Yeah. I mean, they were completely out of sorts on Sunday night. And it's not that the Spurs played a great game. I think they were only 25% from three. But the fact of the matter is they kept lobbing the ball to Wemby and lobbing the ball to his backup, and they were making enough shots to keep OKC at arm's length.
Yeah, they overwhelmed them. There was an overwhelming win, and that could be scary if you're OKC. But you say, "Oh my gosh, we're winning some games. We're winning them this way." But they can overwhelm us. Their potential is a much higher ceiling than OKC's. I think OKC is playing at that level. The scary part about OKC is they got the 12th overall pick and the 17th overall pick in the draft coming up. So if they can look around and say, well, we need a guy that can be more, athletic or whatever, and they can go out and get him if they want to. Right. So they really their upside is ridiculous. Both these teams' upside is ridiculous. The former great Western Conference teams, meaning the Lakers and the Warriors and everybody else, boy, they watching this Western Conference Finals got to make them feel terrible right now. They're like, how the heck?
They're so far away. They're so far away. I mean, the Lakers were the. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I
Now
was
I
just
was
going
going
to
to
say the
say,
Lakers are the 4 seed, and they're, I mean that's thought to be in the upper echelon, and they weren't even, one game was close, and that was the final game, and I think
right.
OKC was just bored at that point.
Yeah, there's like I say, for them it seems like there's no chance. But then you go back now. I know you're going to flip there eventually, but I'll do it for you now. Eastern
Go ahead.
Conference.
Yeah.
It looks to me like the Cavaliers, who have good players, they have a team that can play very, very well. Just haven't really figured out how to have James Harden and Donovan Mitchell on the same page, so to speak. It's just very disjointed. And the Knicks, this is where the run the Knicks made last year is really paying off for them now. They know their roles. That's that team they're basically the same team they were last year, but they're just doing it better and better and better. And Brunson he's the MVP of everything right now. I mean, I know Wemby what he's doing is spectacular, but in regards to what Brunson brings to the Knicks in regards to ball handling, clutch shooting, listen, his game is, I don't know if it's undefensible, but you look at him and he can spot up, hit a three. He can go to the rack and hit layups that aren't even layups. They're like long, weird bank shots.
Mm-hmm.
He can dish the ball when he needs to. Man, he's got the total game going right now. And be honest with you, I would never have said this before the playoffs started, but if the Knicks sweep the Cavaliers or they go out in 5 or whatever happens, and they get the rest, boy, the beat up team coming out of the Western Conference facing a very, very, very savvy veteran at their peak type of team.
Rested.
It would be a hell of a series where I know the Western Conference team would probably be favored, but I don't think they would be the favorite. That's a Vegas thing. I think basketball fans will look at it and say, no, the Knicks might be the better team.
Well, it's not a fait accompli anymore. I mean, everybody thought, the Western Conference was going to be the de facto NBA Finals. But the way these two teams are beating up each other, you're right, John. They're going to go at least 6, probably 7.
Right.
Whereas the Cavs will take the Knicks. By the way, I think this series is over. I think, I've got to be brutally honest with you. I profited tremendously over all 3 games, because when the first game, when the Cavs choked away that 22-point lead, and listen, the Knicks made plays. Brunson was unbelievable, but you don't lose a 22-point lead with under 8 minutes to go.
That was the end of the series
without sucking the pipe.
Yeah.
And I went to my app, and overtime, the Knicks were a 2.5-point favorite, and I laughed as I hit the button.
Yeah.
And then you could tell. Everybody, it's funny. ESPN, Stephen A, and all those guys trying to. It's just one game. Crap. Yeah. Series over. This series is not going back to New York. It's over. It's done. We're recording on Monday, so Monday night, the Knicks will finish off the Cavs, put them out of their misery, and they will get some time off, and that's going to make for a very intriguing final, because the way the Knicks play. Brunson, let's look at Brunson's last game. He had 30 points. He didn't hit a 3. Okay? Right. Not 1 3. And he ended up with 30 points and a bushel basket of assists. He is right now, I would say, and again, the competition hasn't been as tough as it has been in the West, but he is facilitating as good as anybody in these playoffs. And the Knicks are going to be a very tough out if they don't go out at all.
Right. I agree. There's been a lot of good point guards over the last 25 years, let's say even 30 years. Mm-hmm. You've got the guys that come right off the page, Jason Kidd. You got all Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul. I mean, guys that are that same stature as Brunson is. They're not 6'9" and not 6'6" bringing the ball off the court. What are they, 6'1", 6'2" kind of guys?
Yep.
But Brunson, to me, is the most complete point guard I've seen, where you can depend on him as your main offensive weapon since Isaiah Thomas. I think that with that guy that size, he plays with a similar type of ferocity, like a little angry, a little bit of an attitude. You know what I mean? He's not a inconsistent shooter. When he knows when if he has a problem with his shot that night, he has no problem. I'm just gonna drive in the lane, get my guys in the game. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be said about what he can do. I think his game right now, he's at a peak of his career. And Karl Anthony Towns, man, I'm telling you, he has figured it out. After how many years ago did he say he's the best shooting big man of all time? Right? He made some sort of outlandish comment
when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah. But he came to the Knicks, and I think he came to the Knicks like almost like he got punished. He was a little upset, but now he's sitting there and he's soaking it in.
Yes,
I mean, they've kind of become all de facto New Yorkers. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're all like they're about it. They're about embracing the who's on the team bus: Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing. All these different guys are coming that they're hanging out with the team and talking about things. I think they've all become these de facto New Yorkers, and they're playing as much as a franchise has played for the city. I think this Knicks team is really playing for the city in a lot of cases. They feel a part of it,
and the city has embraced them in the Garden, and then wherever the little chase thing is where they all watch the game. They keep showing shots of folks watching outside. It's a very cool scene. As for the Cavs, I think it's time to. I know they're making the conference finals, but if I'm Cleveland and I'm looking at this, all right, 2 of the last 3 years, the Knicks have not just beat you; they've killed you. They won in 5 games a couple of years ago. And, they got to the conference finals, but then there are the Knicks, and they're going to end up sweeping them. I don't think there's any question. You already know my lock of the week. The Knicks are finishing this series off tonight. If you're the Cavs, I know this sounds terrible. It's very similar to what the Knicks went through last year. You talk about Karl Anthony Towns. There's no one happier that they got rid of Tibbs than Karl Anthony Towns, because Tibbs was in his shorts because he wouldn't play enough defense. And Mike Brown. Listen, I'm not the biggest Mike Brown fan at all. Again, he coached the Cavs, so I know a little bit about him. But you know what? I think he's perfect for this team right now. I really do. And he has the pulse of this team, and I think he's kind of gotten out of the way. Now, he might have to coach in the next series, depending on who's there. But to this point, I think so. Saying they blew out Tibbs even though they made the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Cavs have to think about doing a roster makeover, because I don't think they're tough enough.
I agree.
Donovan Mitchell, for all the good he's done, he's hurt every year in the playoffs. He's a guy smallish in stature. There've been and Kenny Atkinson. I don't know what planet this guy's living on. I don't know if you saw the comments he made. They just played him again on First Take as we record. He's saying the club has won 2 of the first 3 games analytically. What series is he watching? What series is he watching? And if he's that, caught up in the analytics, get him out of there too. Right.
You got to think that the Cavs, the players themselves, are hearing that and they're saying, we don't need excuses. We don't need that shit. It's not something we want to do, And so he's really sort of. I get it. It's sometimes with these coaches, they put them in front of a microphone, and they're not the most savvy media guys out there, and they say things because they're trying to protect themselves or their players or whatever it may be, and it just sounds foolish. Yeah. It sounds foolish. Like the Bill Belichick method of being handling a press conference. Monotone, whatever his spiel was. He never gave you much. He never went
on to Cincinnati.
Right. And just kind of did that stuff. And there's better ways to deliver that kind of a message. But he doesn't,
it needs to stay in the locker room because he sounds like an idiot.
His players sound more realistic and more, I guess, knowledgeable than he does.
Yeah.
When they're on the mic, you hear them talking and saying, yeah, we did blow that 22-point lead. We did do this. We did do that. We understand that. But we're going to go win 1 game and get it to 3-1, and then we're off. Then that's all we're going to – has to be 1 game. And their coaches over there talking about analytics. They're talking about let's go win the next game.
We won 2 of the first 3 games analytically.
Games are done. That's what you talk about at the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
You say, hey guys, we did the analytics and we figured out that this, and this. So we're going to work hard on this. Not in the midst of a bloodbath that you're trying to save your reputation. You don't do it. Makes you sound weak.
Yeah. No, totally 100%.
And I'm an analytics guy.
Okay.
That's my thing. I love that.
I'm just curious because they've lost all 3 games by double digits. Now, game 1, you can say analytically they might have won and they just choked it down the stretch. But games 2 which game is he talking about that they in games 2 and 3 that they analytically won? Game 2, it was a close game at halftime. They go on an 18-0 run. Game over. Game 3, they kill them in the first quarter. Game over. Which game is he watching?
But that's the point, Rich. That's what you say about analytics. Analytics are not excuses. The analytics are meant to get better for the next one. Hey, we did this or maybe do that, whatever. We're doing something good. You can kind of figure out where maybe you're making some mistakes here and there. It's not as an excuse. It's used as a tool to make sure you're getting better inside of a game or a game you're playing at that moment, and then sort of a post game sort of, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we did well. Let's move forward and try this. It's not to be used as an excuse. It's a tool to get better, and I don't think that he's using it. He's using it for the wrong reasons. He's making excuses for himself, and that's just dumb.
All right, let's go back because we already determined this series is over.
Yeah.
The other series, who you got?
Well, I'm going to hold off because that's my lock.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
So
all right, let's move on. I'm going back and forth, but after watching Sunday night's game, if the Spurs keep playing like that, I don't think OKC is an answer for them.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But
that's a big if. That's a big if.
Right.
Big if. So, all right, let's move to the NHL playoffs. John, I couldn't have been any wrong. I couldn't have been any wrong. Colorado.
Shocking. It's shocking.
All right. Game 1, little rust. All right. Vegas came out, hit him in the mouth, got that win. I knew my lock was done. Game 2, Vegas doubles down, and they end up getting both games in Colorado. And we'll get into what seems to be the biggest difference in the series. And then Sunday night, game 3, Colorado comes out just as you expect them. House of fire, 3 goals in the first period. They're leading 3-0. All right, got the series to 2-1. They'll have a chance to tie it on Tuesday night. And the Achilles heel of this team showed up.
Yeah,
their goaltending. Goaltending. You can't win. Edmonton couldn't win a cup the last couple of years with their goaltending. They couldn't beat the Panthers. And it certainly appears that Colorado's goaltending, they're playing some guy that he wasn't even the starter in the regular season. They're grasping for straws, John. It doesn't help that Cale Makar was hurt. He couldn't play the first 2 games. And now McKinnon's hurt. And how hurt he is, he'll play Tuesday night. I'm almost certain of that. But you watch him at the end of that game last night, he was half the player, not even, of who he was. And unfortunately, I don't see any way Colorado gets close to getting back into the series. And when I say gets close, means takes games 4 and 5.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. So my what's bugging me this week could have been what I'm going to say right now. I didn't have enough energy to put into this, but it is this. Colorado losing and having their best player. They're already talking about him being best ever defenseman kind of numbers he's putting up. And he's in that hockey mystery thing called lower leg or that whatever the situation is. He'll know when he's ready to play is what I heard the quote. Okay. Well, it's too late for that. It's over. Why bring this guy back at all? If he couldn't play in game 1 or game 2 or game 3, okay.
Well, and everybody played in game 3. He did play in game 3.
Yeah,
he did play in game 3. Yep.
Yeah, but cryptically is how this has been going on and by the way, it's not just here, it's other players. Everything now is we're not telling you what it is. NBA, NHL, even football, which has been for years, that was a no. You better not lie about that injury report because they knew that there was money involved, and if they didn't make the Vegas people happy, that was the end of it. But all this mystery surrounding different injuries. Tom Brady had a mystery injury back in the day, and everybody else. This is sort of becoming to a fan of all sports, becoming unsettled. Who's making the decisions on the players? Is it now that they take it's their own decision, their own handlers, their own people that are making decision? Is it the team? Is it a guy who's I'm not talking about a fourth line guy for Colorado or whatever else, or a backup on OKC or whatever. We're talking about guys that are main players in the situation with these obscure injuries where they're not telling you exactly what it is and they really can't give you a time frame or whatever it may be. I have a problem with it. Because you don't get to these.
It's been as long as hockey has been around, yeah.
But you look at it and it's like you're now seeing it's almost becoming like Victor Hedman. He had to go on a mental. It was a mental thing with him. Okay, but am I being mean to somebody to say that you're taking a mental break right now? You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to be, but you see a lot of this happening now with certain players that is like, man, I'm not feeling it right now. What are the guys in the locker room thinking when that's happening? Like saying, I got problems too, but this is my job. Okay. This is what I do for a living. Okay. And now it's we're reaching the peak. We're at the most crucial time of the year where you're in the playoffs and you're getting sort of these obscure, like, oh, your best player may or may not play. He'll know kind of thing. It's like I said, it's just, to me, it's a little bit odd that that's what's happening. Now, back to the hockey. Colorado's done. There's no doubt about it. The way that looked last night, even the stature of Vegas looked huge as the game kept going. These guys in front of the net, they looked like the better team. And what a decision to get rid of their coach and get John Tortorella in there
with 7 games left. Yeah,
I mean that's that general manager or whoever made that decision, brilliant. It was brilliant. Because if you were going to go into the playoffs and the same or whatever, but that's the move you make, and I think that's if you know your team well, that's a pretty good thing that they did, and it's working out for them. So in regards to that, they're done. On the other side, if it's Montreal this year, it's going to go 7. So we might as well just sit back and wait for Game 7 again and have another one. And in this case, I didn't think Montreal was going to look as good as they've looked in the short term. I thought Carolina was going to come out and be that team, but I think it's going to go 7. I think it's going to go into a 7-game series, and that'll be fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, Monday night will tell a lot of the story. If Carolina gets any momentum from winning Game 2 in overtime, you could be right. But the Canadians have been the better team the first 2 games.
Yes.
I thought Carolina deserved to win. And that sounds kind of weird. They deserved to win Game 2. But Game 1, I thought Montreal was and again, the schedule maker. They get some credit there because they played a 7-game series and then had 2 days off. And again, that's all about TV. And they were able to come out and hit Carolina, even though Carolina scored in the first minute. By the 10-minute mark, it was 4-1. Montreal had gotten 4 goals, and we were starting to see the old Freddie Anderson of Carolina, their goaltender, who was rock solid the entire series, and all of a sudden he looked very ordinary. But he played much better in Game 2. I would agree with you. That's probably going to be a very long series, 6 or 7, with Carolina and Montreal. And let's not put anything past Montreal at this point. I mean,
well, I don't. Carolina has lost. They haven't really reached the finals the last few years. Are
Right.
they losing to? I guess my question for you, Rich, do you think they're losing in the same manner or to the same type of team they lost the last couple of years, or is it just they just didn't they
Well,
haven't played enough?
it's usually the team coming out of the division of the Lightning, the
Right.
Panthers, the Canadiens. They play a different brand of hockey than they do in the Carolina division, and Carolina basically walked through their division. Their second and third place teams weren't that great. They swept them both. I would say, I think there's something to that. Stylistically, I think the Atlantic Division teams know how to play Carolina. They get physical with them.
And I'm watching it, and I'm watching them. Trust me, we watch sports like we all do. We watch chunks of it, right? This
Right.
chunk and this chunk, so you don't see every play. All I would do is be sitting in front of a TV for the rest of my life, and if I was doing that, right? But we watch chunks, and we were able to analyze certain things. And I'm looking and I'm saying, this is Carolina. This is what they've done, and who has been beating them? The same type of team that Montreal is. Montreal hits the ice. After Carolina had a little, I thought, okay, maybe you're going to be a little rust on them. They have clearly been the better team. Clearly, again, overtime in hockey is a coin toss, right? In so many ways.
Is.
And so with that, you look at it and say, okay, they got heads on that one. See what goes from here. But Montreal, I would not be surprised if they go up and win in 2 in Montreal and go up 3-1 and see what if Carolina doesn't look around and say, oh, here we go again. If it happens, the franchise may have to do something different because they got to figure out how to.
Very similar to the Cavs, very similar to the Knicks last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is very similar to Dallas. Dallas was the team in the West, get to the conference final every year, and they ended up blowing out their coach. And people are like, what the hell are they doing? Well, that wasn't good enough. Now, they going out in the first round this year. It's very interesting the way sports has definitely changed. I think people. Conference finals are not good enough. Period.
Well, not if you've been there 4 times in a row. I mean, it's like I'll use the current Buffalo Bills, right? I'm not, when I go there in the middle of end of May, but I don't like Josh Allen. This is why, because he's gets you to a certain point, everything gets heaped onto him, and they keep on doing the same thing over and over again. They blew out McDermott to put their guy in there. What do I see on ESPN? This is the Brady Bills are going to be the da-da-da. What a great move. For who? I think Joe Brady's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. But all you did was take Josh Allen's, private coach and make him the head coach. That's going to make the difference. I don't get that because isn't Joe Brady calling the plays already? Did McDermott tell him no, slow it down? No, they've been doing this. So what's the difference in that situation? I don't see anything. But the real reason is, like I said, if you're going to keep getting to a point and keep losing to over and over again when you get to that point in the playoffs or whatever else it is, there's got to be a move that's made or a change is made. If you're not, I get fan bases. They're not going to turn on a guy or a player, but they're going to turn on the franchise. They'll be like, no, forget it. We're going to the same stuff over and over again. So there's been that places that made changes. Denver Broncos, it took getting Mike Shanahan in there and Dan Reeves out to finally be able to get over the hump, and their hero bought into Mike Shanahan and everything else. There's been plenty of things where moves have been made to make it better. And I think that if Carolina loses to Montreal, they will have to make a change.
I agree. Totally agree 100%. All right. A couple more things before we get to our locks of the week and what's bugging me. Golf. I guess the players got their wish, John.
Boring.
If you're Siwoo Kim and you're leading the first 3 rounds and you're sitting at I think he was sitting at 19 under, 20 under, 21 under, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you shoot 65, don't you think you can get the horse in the barn? He didn't even finish second. Or no, he did finish second. Sorry. He finished second, but three here are the best rounds each day. 61, 60, 60, 60.
All right.
Really? Is this what you want?
Again, and that's what look. What I think should have happened at the end of that end of the tournament, the last hole should have had a windmill where the ball was, and it could have gone through there. And then they all should have played with different colored balls because when it went in the hole on the 18th, it would have rolled back to the clubhouse.
Throw shot,
like you do with putt golf. You don't turn it in. It rolls back to where it needs to go to because that's what it was. That's what it was. And so and again, I mean, not every tournament, everything is the same. But this is sort of what happens when you start taking. I'm going to use two examples. This tournament, the Byron Nelson Fort Worth, always was a big deal tournament. You know, CBS has had the tournament forever. They made a big deal about it all the time. The course was setup was always good. Tough course to win. It was always windy, you know, that kind of stuff. You're 30 under on the course they turned it over to, which is one of these wide open, you know, big fairways.
30 under,
right? But you lost the character of the tournament. Now it's just like it's like anything else. And the LPGA did the same thing with the Dinah Shore when they took it away from the Palm Springs area, bring it out to Texas because the sponsor is Chevron or whatever, and they want something close to home. It's exactly the same thing. You lost all the character of what that golf tournament was about. Why couldn't you leave the tournament in Palm Springs? It didn't make any sense to me. So when you start seeing these decisions being made about golf, and you're taking away from a nuanced kind of cool little golf course to these wide open TPC layouts or whatever you want to call them, it doesn't really add anything to the golf. It makes it unwatchable in some cases. And I see that a lot, and I think that's a mistake. You go back a week. I can't even pronounce it. I said it so many times last week. I forgot how to pronounce it. Adam something Mink at the end. Name of the course.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
The course in Pennsylvania. Let's do
that. Right. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. It's only 7,100 yards and da 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 da," and it ate them up. Now, I'm not saying 900 is getting eaten up, but it was not what they expected it to be.
Right.
Great watch. It was a great tournament to watch because you could see there was a chance that somebody could have gone double bogey on the last hole very easily by getting caught in the rough and then dumping one in the bunker and have a really hard putt going back. There was that kind of thing. Not, I have to double eagle the hole, which is possible, I guess, to go 30 under. I mean, it doesn't, to me, 30 under it's a joke.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely.
30 under is what you see early in the year in California when they play out in the desert out there a little bit. You don't see 30 under in Texas.
30, you don't even see 30 under, John. You see 20 under, 22 under. 30 under is just – I should have done some research the last tournament where the winner was 30 under or better.
They lost me on Saturday, Rich. They lost me on Saturday. I had no desire to watch anything. I turned it on, and I'm like, this is what I'm watching. And it was like, nope, swiped. I was out. I was done.
Yeah. Speaking of not watching, the French Open started yesterday.
Oh, God.
I didn't even know until I saw it on the bottom line. Talk about the fourth major in tennis with several players not playing. Alcaraz, he's hurt because he already withdrew from Wimbledon. Okay, right. And that's his tournament. Wimbledon's his tournament, so he must really be. That surgery must have really did a number on him. But really. The French Open has turned into meh. There's no other way to put it. It's meh.
You know, a clay court championship. I mean, it's a little different. Obviously, guys specialize in that. They're better clay courters than they are hard court guys. And they've been with Wimbledon with the grass. I get that, but it's just a. Have you ever gotten up early in the morning on a weekend and turned on a tournament from Dubai or a tournament, somewhere, a golf tournament somewhere, you turn it on, you're like, okay, it's kind of got a weird look to it. It doesn't have like the same quality, or I don't know what it is. It just doesn't have it. And you're listening to it. Even the commentators are very droll. It's like, like, it's like it's very sort of like, oh, that's great. And very, very like the claps are very sort of like blasé.
They're golf claps.
That's the French Open to me.
Yeah.
It's like you turn on like, oh, look, brown clay, da 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 da. You get
it's a tough watch. Visually, it's a tough watch.
Long ass rallies. Just doesn't have the same thing to it. Even the crowd seems a little sort of sort of like we're just here for the day kind of thing. Doesn't have that spark. just to me, it's just blah. It's just a blah. It doesn't. It's never been something I desired to watch, no matter what the situation was. And I know it's a major, but it's just not one that. That's where I'll give the golf its due. The 4 majors are must watches. They are.
Yes.
And they all have different characteristics. With obviously with Augusta, with the Open Championship overseas, they're open. The U.S. Open with the hard course and the tough rough, and now the PGA maybe as well, giving something for us to sink our teeth into as well.
All right, let's move to locks of the week. Again, you had the thanks to the Cavs collapse, you were able to get the Knicks home, winning the first 2 at MSG to move your record to 22-13. And I went Colorado. Oof, I should just drop out, but instead I'll keep going. 19-16. I already gave you my lock of the week. I think the Knicks finish off the Cavs Monday night.
Okay.
I just think it's fait accompli. Your coach is talking about winning games analytically. There's this thing that they have on either end of the arena, and also on a thing that falls from the center. It's called the scoreboard. That's where it all matters. Okay. And right now on the scoreboard, and listen, the Knicks are on one of these runs. Not only have they won 10 in a row, they've won them all by double digits. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think they make it 11 tonight. John, what do you say?
My lock of the week is OKC wins the series.
Okay.
So what I believe is that the better basketball players will ultimately win. Okay. And I think, but I don't think there's going to be a home court advantage one way or the other. I think it's going to go back and forth and back and forth. 7 is probably what I would expect it to be. But it's going to come down to the better basketball players. I think SGA is smart enough to figure out how to get his guys involved. And you're right, Rich. They have to hit 3-pointers. Okay. Now,
yes.
That says, well, that's easier said than done. Well, right. But when San Antonio is playing from inside out, now outside in, because Wemby is such a dominant guy, in the paint, especially defensively, you've got to be able to shoot 3-pointers. It's got to make them step out where there's more space, where the SGA can get his shot off. But he's got to get them into the game early. They got to establish themselves. And I'll say this: I even think that Chet Holmgren has played pretty well so far with Wemby. He's a skinny guy, but he's still out there throwing around, and he's played against Wemby before because they're almost in age wise. They kind of came up through the ranks, whatever. Played against.
I think they came in the same year. Yeah. Yeah.
So they know each other a little bit, but I truly believe that if Oklahoma City is the better basketball team, I think San Antonio could be a dominant basketball team for the next 6-7 years. Bar fingers crossed, barring no injury to Wemby. Because I mean, you look at him, you see how tall he is and the way he plays. You always you get this idea. You see Sam Bowie and Ralph Sampson. These guys have got hurt over the years. You see that those kind of things happen. You're waiting for the next guy to be that. But he's young too. He didn't come in the league at 24. He came in the league at what, 18, 19 years old, whatever he was. So he's still a young guy as well. But this year I think it's going to be OKC. And I'll go with you too. I'm not going to put that as but OKC Knicks, which I think will be a
tremendous
barn burner finals. Who is NBC get the finals exclusive?
No, it's ABC. It's ABC ESPN.
Okay,
so it's Mike
Breen. The case. Boy, they're gonna cash in the NBA's. This is a no brainer for them, and they're gonna make a lot of money with the Knicks being on TV and OKC being the defending champion, and a very, very, very fun team to watch. They are a fun team to watch. So that the entertainment value is going to be off the charts. I think they're going to do, if that's the way it goes, the numbers will be off the charts good. And by the way, if it is San Antonio, Wemby's going to bring a lot of eyes to the prize.
I was going to say I think they win either way.
Right.
Because it's funny too. Everybody, all the conspiracy theorists are coming out this year. Like, it's they want the Knicks to be, last year it was Knicks. The final was OKC and the Pacers. You think that's what Madison Avenue wanted? No, they wanted the Knicks. So they're going to get the Knicks this year. and the numbers should be good because last year was an all-time low.
Yep.
I think you can get all-time high here with all the
Yeah,
platforms of
I
ESPN
agree.
and everything else. I think you can see some incredible numbers here.
I
And
totally
consider
agree.
that all year long the NBA has been dragging. They've been the one sport out of the four that has been behind last year in
Mhm.
ratings through the regular season, through the early part of the playoffs. Now it's definitely gotten better. Again, the Knicks going far certainly helps. So they definitely need this shot in the arm. They got that $76 billion 11-year contract that they're
Yeah.
trying to take care of. All right,
Yeah.
time for what's bugging me. You've kind of teased it a little bit, so I'll let you go ahead first.
Well, what's bugging me is I've sort of feel like there's a lot of little things in this week that he's like, oh, that could be my what's bugging me, or that could be what's bothering me here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
so I said, what pissed you off or annoyed you the most? Right now, college baseball and college softball are out there. It's getting great coverage, and the coverage has been fantastic. ESPN having all those channels, they can pop you over to ESPN News while somebody else's game is still going on.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you've got, you've got some very high level play out there as well. But what I can't stand, and I know I feel like I've said this before, but it just needed to be said now because it's kind of hot. I am so sick and tired of the showboating and the bat flipping and everything else goes on in both, not only college softball, but in college baseball. It's ridiculous. I was watching the game the other night and hey, Arizona State's playing Texas. And I'm thinking, okay, what an upset if Arizona State could beat Texas. They're the number 2 team in the country. Girl, it's a home run, and she doesn't bat flip it. She throws it like she was throwing an axe into a piece of wood. She throws the bat at her own dugout. I'm thinking, who the hell did she hit with the bat? The first base coach? I mean, she threw that thing, right?
Yeah.
And you get the home plate, the whole freaking team is at home plate, right? And it's a big, it's a big to-do kind of thing. I saw something not the other day at a college baseball game, not the high-tier college baseball game, where a catcher got pushed around after they made a home run. I'm like, what are you pushing the catcher around? That's the dumbass bravado that's going along with this. And you see it all the time in college baseball. Okay, it's the same thing. Guy hits a home run. He's looking at it. Major League Baseball, we talk about it all the time. If you're going to admire your home run, you're going to get hit in the back. You're going to right between the numbers the next time. College base, and I see it. I see like the potential at the College World Series for an all-out brawl. Either in, I wouldn't say softball as much of an opportunity, but definitely baseball. It's going to bubble over. They're constantly talking to each other. Umpires are letting it go. It's not part of the show. The home run is the part of the show. The base hit. Everybody's a professional wrestler now. You know what I mean? And they're all got something to say. They got hand gestures, handshakes that go on for 15 minutes. It's ridiculous. And I don't want to get off my lawn, guy, but it's going to lead to a bigger problem. It's going to be a bigger problem because the pros don't let it happen anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't let somebody dance on home plate or get in your face or point in your face or whatever it may be. They don't let that happen. Okay. And you're starting to see this happening more and more. And my fear is that it's going to come to the point where somebody's going to get there. It's going to be a bad situation and it's going to explode on somebody. And the way they're conducting themselves, Rich, and I say this with there's not a lot of respect for each other.
Right.
And you get some punk ass kid in college with an aluminum bat in his hand, and the pitcher's 6'5", and he says want to go after him with a bat. That to me doesn't seem like a stretch. So get it under wraps. If it was my team, okay, and it's not, but if it was my team wouldn't behave that way. You want to be enthusiastic and do all this stuff, great. But you start doing that other crap, I'm not letting that happen. You throw a bat or you do whatever it's going to be, I'm going to take care of it. Not the pitcher. I'm going to take care of it. And unfortunately, I don't see that happening very much. And again, is it NIL? We're going to go into that stuff. Is that what's causing it? Because, hey, I'm going to leave if you don't let me flip my bat, or can't be me, or whatever else it may be. No, it's going to get worse. We saw it at Florida. There was an incident with in the stands Jason Williams, I think Jason Williams, the point guard for the Gators in Miami Heat. His daughter played for Texas Tech. She played at Florida for 2 years, and fans got into it with him in the stands about this stuff because the bravado leaches into the stands at times as well. So that's sort of my concern. So I know it's a little get off my lawn-ish, but nonetheless, it's what got me. It's what got me the most fired up this week, and it is sort of relevant to what's going on right now.
All right. What's bugging me is going to piss off every New Yorker. I hope it doesn't piss you off. I am so tired of ABC, ESPN showing all the damn celebrities. It drives me freaking batty. It's just, they are at the game just like everybody else. What just because they make movies or they do this or they do that? I mean, former players I have no problem with. They're showing Patrick Ewing. I love that. You know what? He toiled for this franchise. He's watching. I love it. Walt Frazier. I love those guys. But the actual Ben Stiller. Who's the
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet. Thank you very much. You must be reading my mind. Timothy I don't care. So they either paid the big bucks to get on the floor at the Garden, or they got their tickets comped, which is probably more likely. Give me a break. I was actually happy to see in Game 3 that most of the Knicks fans were actually in the crowd as opposed to being on the floor,
right?
In Cleveland. And I'm sure they went up to a lot of Cavs fans who normally have those seats, and they're like, no, I don't care how much money you're going to give me. I'm going to stay on the floor. I can't stand that. That drives me absolutely batshit. So that's why we should root for the Knicks, because, everybody in Hollywood's rooting for the Knicks. And, like I said, again, I have no problem with the former players. I think it's great. Patrick never got a ring. He had a couple of opportunities when Michael was playing baseball and they got to the 7th game against Houston. And John Starks went 2 for 170.
Didn't show up.
But I'm so tired of the A-list actors and everybody being. I'm over it. I watch the games with the sound down because I don't even want to hear it.
Well, you're right, Rich, because even in some of those situations, you hear people saying like, Tim Legler was on a show and he's like, yeah, I talk to Ben Stiller all the time. He knows a lot about basketball. I mean, why do I care?
Right, exactly.
Why do I care? I get it. He's a celebrity, but like Jack Nicholson obviously is the one who started this with LA. He was courtside, but he was one guy, definitely a fan. And I think
he didn't. And listen, he didn't bring it on himself. He sat there with his dark glasses on, and he was just enjoying the game. Everybody, when the big run was going the other night, they were showing guys, hugging their kids, and that. Give me a break.
Right. I totally agree, because it is like almost like what I'm waiting to hear, like Fox used to do it. Maybe they still do it. You be watching an NFL game and like, look who's here. The star of the new pilot,
this new Fox show.
Yeah, they made no bones about it. They were gonna get the lead in no matter what. Back in the day, CBS would say following the West Coast, something on the West Coast, your local news, or watch 60 Minutes. That's all you ever got, right? Now Fox took it to where there's a star or whoever it is. And in this case, I think I'm waiting to hear somebody say, and Ben Stiller in the new Disney movie, because that's what, the ABC or whatever.
Well, again, ABC, ESPN, Disney, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So that you're waiting for that leap to happen. But it is. It's like, it's sort of like, it makes it's dumb is what it is. I don't quite get it. And I would bet you, Rich, that probably the average New York fan would probably say, why the F is Ben Stiller on TV all the time?
Yep.
Same feeling about it, because it's not that. Where's the real super fan? Where's the guys that had tickets for 25 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paying a fortune, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're right. I love when the old players are there. I think it's a great deal that these guys are out there and being so enthusiastic about it. It means something to them, and I think that's a cool deal. But yeah. It's unfortunately, Rich, I wish I could tell you that's going to stop.
Oh, it's just going to be ramped up.
Going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I'm
Exactly.
waiting for like, one of those weird deals where like it's Lady Gaga's is courtside, because whatever it may be, some Broadway guy. It'll be something along those lines. It just after a while it just gets to be too much.
And early in the game, they show Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and I'm just as against that. You know what? I don't care that they go to the game.
I will tell you this. I was stunned. Okay, because like to get to be, I mean, I know there's probably different ways, but that's not the box at Arrowhead. Right. That's courtside, And I'm looking at
the fans.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm like, that guy looks too small to be a bodyguard sitting behind her, and that guy doesn't look like. I'm thinking it didn't look like she had a massive amount of security around her. You know what I mean?
Well, it is Cleveland.
And listen, if Kelce went to the game and he's not there for the next game, I'm okay. Then I'm okay with his appearance.
Well, no, he's from Cleveland. He's from Cleveland. He's a fan.
But I'm saying like if all of a sudden he's here, then if they're there again for Game 4, I'll be like, so it is sort of a photo op at this point. You know what I mean? Because hey, honey, let's go. I'm we're hometown. I'm a Cavs fan. I got offered courtside seats. Do you want to go? And she said, okay. I think that's great. But if I see it again, I'll be like, oh, now they're selling albums or they're selling their podcast or something's coming up for this. It seems a little too contrived. So we'll see.
All right. 40th edition of the 941 Sports Zone in the can. Hopefully you're not watching it in the can. By the way, you can like and subscribe on YouTube, leave some commentary, give us some constructive criticism. I'm all for it. Facebook, artist formerly known as Twitter, now X, Instagram, it's all over the place. Take in the show and let us know what you think. Go ahead, John. I get text messages. I'm like, no, go online and do it. I totally agree with you. You said about the golfing situation. And I'm like, all right, then put it out there into the orbit, Right.
But
exactly.
It is great that they're watching. And I love when I get a response to something that I said, or you said an hour in.
Yeah.
Because they're in for the entirety of it all. Because people will say to me, how much research do you do? I said hours a day. Yeah. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes. In my work, I can listen to a lot of stuff. Yep. I listen to stuff all day. So it's not that I have to go lock myself in a room. But in the same token, I know a lot of people have the same thing. They can listen to stuff at their desk. They put stuff on. So I think that's where our podcast and podcasting in general finds its fan base, because you can sit down and sort of listen to the podcast and hear certain things, and you can catch back up when you have to get up to go to the bathroom or whatever it may be, right? So it's like, so I like that. So yeah, so it's fun when I get responses about things, and it's usually not what I would expect it to be. Like, oh, you should have went into more about the Venice game or this or that. It's like, no, they listen to some golf comment I had or you had or whatever it may be. So it's kind of fun.
One more reminder: July 24th. We'll have more information in the coming weeks of exactly where we'll be, but we're looking forward to it. What is this, John? Is this 3 or 4 years in a row now?
4. So
okay.
I will tell you that I can make the announcement today.
Oh, okay.
We'll be at Carroll GMC Buick, like it has been the last 3 years, 2 years, I should say. That'll be the site. Waiting now just in regards to a few things, but everybody who was on the panel last year has committed to it all. So we'll have a familiar faces with yourself being there as well. All the commitments are being made, and now it's the last piece of the puzzle that everybody would care about. It's not our side of things, but is that we're trying to make sure we can get all of the media, the print. The print media, where you're having all the guys that'll be there, the on threes and the rivals and whatnot, to be there as well, along with Matt Geller, who's also committed to it as well. So we're rolling now. We're there in that spot. There's some fine tuning. It is a production. It's going to be a 8-hour plus scenario. Francis is in from Vibrant Aspect Media as well, so we're happy to have him back on board to do it as well. But there is other little nuancey things that we have there in regards to the actual functioning of the day that still need to be ironed out. But with 2 months left to go, technically, I'm feeling pretty comfortable that it'll be the best version of the Suncoast Football Media Day, or I always say, or whatever we're going to call it this year.
Yes.
So the 4th annual version of it. I think it'll be really good. And again, with the coaches in particular, obviously you don't want to invite them too early because you have to call them again, but you got to put the invites out here shortly. They've been very enthusiastic about it as well. So I think that's another positive.
And we have more teams. Welland Park is in the mix now.
New schools,
the one in Charlotte County. Help me out here.
Oh, Babcock.
Babcock Ranch, right? Babcock Ranch. Hopefully we'll get some more that weren't able to make it from Sarasota and Manatee. Again, it's a lot of fun. It's a long day, but it is a lot of fun. And, again, we're expecting another big year in the 941 from our area football teams. And
I will say
we look forward to doing it for you.
Yeah, there's been different years, but I'll say this right now. The caliber of athlete that's coming out of this area right now, 4-star, even 5 stars, that have made some commitments and doing some things. And I'm talking from Charlotte County to Manatee County. They're if again, kind of always telling the coaches you got to bring as many players as you'd like, or bring your guys you want to get out there.
And Booker brought the whole team last year, so
absolutely they did. I loved it. That's fantastic. Bring the family, right? Just everybody's there. But I think that you're going to see some guys that are going to get they're getting national exposure, and with recruiting and stuff like that. So there'll be a lot to be said about that. So we'll see how that goes. But looking forward to it. And it does sort of, like we are going into post Memorial Day, more of a baseball driven scenario with sports. You're going to get a few things here and there, but that really does kick off football season for us. Even though it's a bit earlier than it was last year, I think it kicks off football season, and then it's cruise control, if you want to call it that, until middle to end of February, where everything keeps rolling towards that. With the big brother is back in full gear as far as football is concerned, and hopefully around here we'll see some championship level play.
All right, and that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. For John No Drop Massoni, I'm Spitz. Looking for sun and some warm weather up here in Massachusetts. Until next Monday.
Here you go. Here's some sunshine. I'll give you a little bit.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah. No, still not there. No. All right, till next Monday, if you catch us live or if you catch the podcast. Till then, so long, everybody.